Hi everyone! I observed a kindergarten classroom at East Midvale Elementary School. It is a full-day kindergarten. The classroom is set up with a carpet space, the teacher's table, the teacher's aides table, and a library corner. Students sit around large tables, and each table is considered a group. There are 22 students in the class. About 11 or 50% are non-native English speakers. Most of the students are able to communicate. The English isn't perfect, but you are able to understand what they are trying to say. There's one ELL student who was very quiet. At first I thought it was because he didn't understand, but I was incorrect. He is able to understand, he just isn't that confident at speaking it. Students are divided into 5 groups based on ability. The groups rotate and work on various activities based on what part of the room they're at. For example, students would work on seat work if they were at their seat. They would work with the teacher at her table, or they would read on the iPads. Students are learning fluency with their numbers and letters. They practice counting together and work on math counting worksheets. Each week, the class focuses on 1 or 2 letters of the alphabet. Students also work on creating their alphabet notebook. In this, they practice writing their letters and they cut out pictures that correspond to the sound. Some points of friction that occur is there are 2 students with behavioral challenges. It is difficult at times because they can be set off by small interactions or triggers. So it's really important to constantly be watching these kids and praising them for when they are on task. Each student has a walkie-talkie, and when a student does throw a tantrum that the teacher can't control on their own, they send a message over the walkie, and an administrator or behavioral specialist comes to assist. We try to use this as a last resort, of course, but sometimes the behavior is really disruptive. But everyone at the school is very supportive. First example, each morning the teacher goes around and asks students a question in a circle. One day students had to say what their favorite food was. A popular answer was pizza. However, a few students were pronouncing the Z sound and saying S instead. So the word sounded like pizza. I also have noticed when helping kids with their word puzzles, kids would pronounce puzzle like puzzle instead of using the phoneme for Z. They used the S. I even noticed it with my name. I have the students call me Miss Abby, and a lot of students say Miss Abby. The B sound is replaced with the V sound. So the teacher focuses on a letter a week. The week we worked on the B, or B, I noticed a difference. Students were hearing the B phoneme and pronouncing it a lot better. The students are still pretty young, and it's normal for sounds and letters to get confused. In my classroom, if I were to hear this confusion, I would work on Z and S together, or even V and B. Hopefully, by putting them side by side, the students would be able to hear a difference. Example 2, the students were learning about classification and how to sort objects into groups. When the teacher asked the question, "Why doesn't this bear belong in the group?" a student replied, "Him don't belong because he has fur." Anyone who would hear that would be able to basically understand what the student was trying to say. He's trying to say it doesn't belong, or he doesn't belong because it has fur. It appeared that the student understood syntax because the order of the words were correct. However, they were struggling with the tense of the word. Him is used when it is the object of an action, or when there is more than one subject. He is used when it is the subject of the sentence. To an older student, I would explain this However, my students are only in kindergarten. Instead of explaining all of this, I would say a sentence almost exactly alike. However, I would phrase it the correct way, and I would have the students repeat it with me. That way they would be able to practice and hear the sound correct, or hear the correct way to say it. Okay, and then the third example. So one of my biggest challenges I've noticed is deciphering the sounds within words or phoneme segmentation. This is when the students can pull each sound apart from the word. When we practice our spelling, I asked the students to spell a word, but I have them listen before we write. Together we tap out the sounds using our fingers, like at, cat. This practices our phoneme segmentation and breaking down the word by each sound. This helps them to understand the relationship between letter and sound. So one day I used the prompt, one morning on a sunny day, and then I had the students fill in the rest. One student described how it was hot outside and how his character would react to the temperature. Her sentence was right here. So it says, "She is burning up and her face is red." So as you can see, you can understand what the sentence is saying. It's just that the words are spelled a little bit wrong. So I would look at the burning part of the sentence, and I'd like to say in kindergarten it's not that big of a deal if words are spelled wrong. We're mostly focused on them hearing the sounds and making the distinction and relationship that sound and letter and just forming a word. So this was actually, I was able to be in a third grade classroom. So anyway, so in a third grade classroom, I would explain how to spell the word burning correctly. So I would look at this and I would say maybe the word kind of says burnig, but with the student, I would tap out the sounds and ask the student if there's any sounds that we're missing and what we can do to fix the letter or the word. And then the next word was face, and it's spelled F-A-S instead of F-A-C-E. I would make sure to point out how the student wrote all of the sounds correctly. Every single sound is present in the word, but then I would explain that sometimes the C can be a soft S and say S, and then we would spell F-A-C-E because the A consonant E, the A says A. So I would explain those rules to her or the student or a group of students. And we would practice soft C, and we would practice writing words like face, nice, and center. So yeah, that's my presentation, and thank you.